This is Yazuki Wolf, and good morning or good afternoon. I'm not sure exactly where you're watching from, but thank you for joining for another Japan Quest live vlog thingamajig. Today's vlog is going to be a bit short because unfortunately I have to go to work today. It's here. The game that we're working on, Archetype. We're going to be giving the application for that to Apple for the iOS Apple Shop on the 19th of this month. So, in preparation for that, I'm pretty much working all this weekend. Probably gonna work next weekend as well. And so, as I'm talking to you, I'm gonna be trying to draw from Pose Maniacs. It's if you haven't heard of the website, you should definitely check it out. I'm sure I've mentioned it a number of times before. But they have like a character, a 3D figure that appears every well, you can set it how you want, like every 30 seconds or every 90 seconds or so. And it just is a good way to kind of like warm up your day, to just go through a couple sketches on there and see and get your muscle memory working again. I really haven't been drawing much lately. Unfortunately, I've been really busy with non-drawing related stuff at work. Before I used to do illustrations almost every day at work, but lately, see, I don't like that one. But yeah, you're gonna see me erase a lot of things. It's just because like my general goal is to get maybe 5 or 6 good sketches down on this page for my warm up. And every time there's a sketch that I don't like within that 90-second frame, that 90-second time rate, I just kind of erase it. Also, I'm still not completely used to. I'm not so comfortable with doing the live show that I can talk extremely easily while also drawing. But hopefully, I'm gonna get better at that over time. So just bear with me on that. But so what was I saying? So we had pretty much gotten most of the game finished, but they added a completely new mechanic to the stages. So the 300 some odd, like 400 about 400 about quests that we have in the game all have to be rebalanced, and the levels have to be redesigned. So that's something that's pretty much just only my responsibility. So I've been working on that like all this week, and next week probably will be doing a lot of other stuff to just kind of like get the game balance right and everything. So I'm very busy with that. And that kind of leads me into the subject for today, because since I haven't really been able to think about much else but besides work. See, I can't really finish a drawing in 90 seconds while talking. Oh well. But since I can't really think about much else but work lately, I figured the best topic for today would be what the work schedule is like working in Japan. And first off, let's see here. To explain that, the first thing I have to explain is what the Japanese work mentality is like, I guess, in general, not necessarily in the game company, but just in general in Japan. You know, in America or in the West, we would say that we work to live, while in Japan people often end up like living to work instead. So it seems like every day you're sort of, you know, I'm going to take this off in 90 seconds because there's no way I'm going to finish a drawing in 90 seconds while talking. Give me a second. Let me just put it on like a regular mode. Where was that? Negative space draw. Hands for drawing iPhone. I'm pretty sure there was this way to see what you had been drawing. Let's just go here. Let's go from here. Okay, that worked. Okay, that's doable. All right, so what was I saying? So, yeah, where was I? I completely forgot. Yeah, so like in Japan in general, like we say that we that we work to live. But in Japan, generally, it's more about it seems like it's more of an attitude that you live to work. That basically the reason why you're living is so that you can go to work, and the more time that you spend at work, the better. Like for example, in Japanese, there's a phrase called "otsukare-sama," which is basically what you say at the end of your work day, or it's sort of the equivalent of what we would say when we would say "good job" or um, like yeah, basically like "good job" or "nicely done" or something like that. And it's just a standard greeting for when you're at work. And literally, if you take what that is in Japanese, it's otsukare. It stands for let's see here. Saitemasu. Yeah, the actual kanji for that is for I'm for being tired. So when you say otsukare-sama, it's basically saying like I'm just gonna let my hands just draw whatever it wants now. So it's basically like saying sama. It's basically like saying instead it's not really like saying that you're it's not really saying like good job. It's more just saying that you look tired. Literally, if you were to translate, otsukare is tired, and sama is the appearance. So it'd be like you have the appearance of being tired. That's literally what it means. And I mean, obviously, when people actually say it in they kind of it's kind of just a greeting, so they aren't really thinking of that. But that's where the roots of the word come from. So in general, you just have this kind of attitude in Japan where it's not so important about what type of work you're doing or the sort of actual end product. It's more the idea of being busy is seen as a good thing. So I'd be surprised. You'd be kind of surprised. Like me and there's one other non-Japanese worker that's at my company. He joined like the last I think half a year or maybe a year ago, and like me and him will often like look at the work, the way how much other people work at the place, and it's really surprising because they'll come earlier than, like for example, a lot of people come earlier than me, and then they actually work later than me as well. So they're there really early and they're there really early in the morning, and they'll stay there till really late at night. And I'm sure I've mentioned before how I work like 10 to 12 hour work days, and that's a lot for me. But there are other people here that work actually like full like 12, 13, 14 hours sometimes. And because this year, I know that some people, they come before me, so that means they're coming around like 10 a.m. maybe, and then they're leaving at like midnight. So how many hours is that? Yeah, that's like 14 hours, right? I think I got my math right. 12 to 12 would be 12 hours, so 10 to 12 would be 14 hours. Yeah, so there's people that will work like 14-hour days, and they do that very often. Like not just like every once in a while, like all the time they'll be staying there till the very end of the day. And then coming on weekends too. And of course, like I'm going to work today, so like I work on weekends sometimes, but I generally try to take some time off. Like for example, today I have to go to work, but I'm gonna let myself relax a little bit at home. You know, I'm gonna do this. I decided I'd do this this video first before I went out. So like because since it's a weekend, I don't really have a specific time that I have to be at the office. So I figured, okay, I'm just gonna relax a little bit before I go, and I'll even try to like take days off when I can. But like the funny thing is that when you see the other Japanese workers, they don't really seem to be bothered by working those hours and working that often. It's just like, oh yeah, well, like I'll work tomorrow, I'll work today. Like it's really hard to describe, but it's like it just seems very natural. Like it seems like, well, like I don't know, for me, like explaining this to you now, like I'm kind of assuming that my listener is going to be like, wow, that's a lot of time to be working. That's kind of strange. But in general, when I'm talking to my coworkers, like it's just kind of accepted that that's just the norm. Like there's no feeling like, oh, we're working a lot, or oh, this is kind of odd that we have to work this much. It's just like, oh, that's just the way things are. So that's just kind of an example of how in general Japan has kind of a different attitude toward work. There definitely is a feeling that like if you're awake 16 hours a day, then there's no then you should be working 16 hours a day. I don't know, like there isn't really that kind of like separation of like your own free time and like your work time as much in general within like Japanese companies. That's why for me specifically, like when I was looking for work here, I kind of knew that I I wasn't, well, how you say, like if I was in Japan and I was just like living here and I didn't have any issues with like having to get a visa or anything like that, and I had the choice between being a salary man, which is the term they use here just for like a person who works for a full-time position at a company, or like a nita, nito, or how you say, like, I'm not, but like it's another term for a person who just who let's see, how did it go? Oh, I'm sorry, frita. Yeah, so there's nita and frita. So the nito is they just stay at home and they kind of live off of their parents and stuff. So that's kind of a different thing. But then there's frita, which is like a person who doesn't work for full time at a company, but they just do part time jobs. So they only work as part timers and they just do a bunch of different part time jobs. And if I had the choice between being if it was just about money, if it was just about making money, and it wasn't a job, it wasn't about like finding a job that I liked, I would probably rather do the frita route. Like I wouldn't want to work full time at a company in Japan to make money because the work schedule is just kind of the cost benefit doesn't play out because you're spending a lot of time working for that company and not really. And I mean, of course, maybe you could find a company that you get paid really well, but if you don't have the time to actually spend that money, there's no real point to that. I don't see. So if it was just about money, then I would say just work part time and just work part time and then have the free time to do stuff outside of work, and that would be how I would live. But but when it comes to finding a job that you actually enjoy doing, then that kind of changes things a little bit. So for example, now that I've always wanted to be in this type of work, and I always wanted to work on games. I wanted to be able to draw and make a living off of being able to draw, illustrate, and also to design games and do concepts and things like that, and have that more creative side of things. So for me, this job is working. It's not about making money, so it's more about enjoying what you're doing. And so that's why I kind of always felt that if I was going to get a full-time job in Japan, a full-time job working at like within a Japanese company, understanding the sort of Japanese mindset about how much time they put into their work and how much time they spend at work, I knew it would have to be a job that I enjoyed. So that's why I kind of was able to do that with the gaming career, because it's a more interesting job to do and things like that. But I'm getting a little bit off topic. So moving on from there, like that's just a general Japanese type of mindset. But then also you have within a game company, when you're coming down to the end of a release, like when you're coming down to the release date for a video game. This isn't just in Japan, in any country. I think you're going to be very busy because there's just a lot of work to get done before a release of a game generally. So then when you're in Japan and you combine both the both the sort of busyness of that Japanese work mentality with the business of a Japanese game company, then you're going to be really, really busy. So I've heard of people working at like Square Enix and like Konami and other places like that, where it just got to the point where they were working so hard that they couldn't really handle it anymore. And so I know that there are a lot of issues with people being overworked in Japan in general, and also especially within like games and manga and other things like that. But I would say comparatively, the company that I'm working at really isn't that bad. I mentioned earlier how like a lot of my coworkers are working like really crazy hours, in my opinion, but they're not really forced to do that. Like my boss actually sat us down in a meeting one day, and he like asked everyone like, I just want to make sure like about they say your mental in the Japanese, but I mean I guess it'd be like your mental health, or like your make sure that you're being stable mentally or whatever. And he like he like asked everyone like, you're working a lot, and I just want to make sure that you're okay with that, because like if you need to take days off, you can take days off. And he's like making that really clear. And this is my boss saying this. And I remember that meeting, like there was like maybe 5 of us there, the 5 of us that had been like coming in a lot on weekends and things like that. And I remember everyone else at the meeting was completely silent. They didn't say anything. And that's the kind of thing that comes up a lot when you're working in Japan. Like it's like people don't tend to speak up. And I think, I don't know exactly why that is. I'm still trying to figure, I don't really know exactly why, but like, it seems like maybe traditionally you're not supposed to like question your boss, I guess. You're supposed to just kind of like just follow the rules, and that you're not really supposed to put your own opinion in there a lot. But the thing is that at my workplace, like my boss is nothing like that. My boss really, he seems to really want people's opinions. And that's the thing, like for me, like if he's saying they're asking for people's opinions and they're just being quiet, that seems kind of weird to me. But I don't know, I don't really know what's all behind that. But anyway, so that during that that meeting, like everyone was just quiet, like they didn't say anything about it. But and obviously, like a lot of them seemed like they were kind of confused, like why he would even be concerned about them. They're like, oh well, yeah, it's no problem, like yeah, like they had like no issue at all about having to work so much. But so like I was the only one at that meeting. I'm like, you know, I I feel that I could work better if I take a break. So I'm gonna generally try, if we're like really busy, like before like maybe before what you call it, before a release date, if I need to come in on the weekends or whatnot, I can do that. But otherwise, I want, if I can, I'm gonna always try to take at least a day off a week, because I know that I'm gonna get burnt out if I don't. And my boss was like, "Oh yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, I accept that. If that helps you work better, then that's the way to do it." And so he was very supportive of that. And but then even after I said that, I was the only one who mentioned that, and everyone else just like was completely fine with working still. So I don't know, it's kind of an interesting thing where like it seems like there definitely is a different kind of sense of that balance between your work time and your personal time. I think generally in the West, and I'm speaking specifically to America because that's where I used to live, that you kind of you want to do your 9 to 5, and then you want to have your time to do your own stuff afterwards. And in Japan, it doesn't seem like that's always the case, and it's kind of interesting to me just to kind of see. It may be changing though, because I know that there's a lot of more, like in the more recent generation, there's a lot more Nito and like Frita and like those other kind of categories, and it's actually kind of like spoken down of by like in society, like, oh, like these people who like don't get proper jobs and they don't do this or that. But I think it's really a response to the the demands of those jobs, where where people are spending so much time working and not having that personal time. And I think more and more, like in the newer generation of people, they're like, you know, I kind of want to have my personal time. So that's why they're kind of rejecting those sort of traditional job roles. But that may be a discussion for another video. Man, this girl's eyes are looking really crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to really figure out how to get better at drawing while talking, because this is kind of stuff that I'm kind of ashamed to even put this on the internet. But yeah, it's so I guess. Also, it could be because I haven't been drawing lately, and you know, one of my teachers before said that the like every day that you don't draw, it's gonna take that's a day that's gonna take you to get back to where you were when you start up again. And I don't know if it's like mathematically if that's exactly true, but it does seem definitely like if you take like a week off, like that first day where you try to draw after that, it's all just like a trial and error type process of trying to get back to where you were before you stopped drawing. And I mean, yeah, maybe in a couple of days you'll get back to where you were, so it's not like the biggest deal in the world you might think, but that's time that you could have been spent getting better, and instead you're spending that time just trying to get back to where you were. So that's by no means a good thing. And And so like that's why another reason why I'm not I want to do actual video about more detailed about how to do the Moe style, or like how to draw different things and things. But since I haven't been drawing lately at work, I've been doing mostly like the master data and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you would know what that means, but like slightly more like programming type stuff, like level design and like game balancing. And since I've been doing that mostly lately, I haven't actually been drawing, which means that I feel rusty, and so I don't want to do an actual like tutorial about how to draw until I actually feel like I have some confidence with what I'm teaching. So, but yeah, I definitely do want to do some stuff like that, like have like a video about the actual process of how people generally draw in Japan, because there is a very specific way that most people do draw, and then maybe more about like my own personal like preferences and how I draw. Ears not really working. Ears are always kind of tricky because it seems like there's like a specific way they draw in a lot of manga. That was actually one of the things that came up a lot in my meetings before. My boss would say like your ears don't look right, so that's something I probably have to work on. And also you kind of drop the ears down a little bit for the Japanese style too, which is kind of hard to get the exact position yet. But yeah, once I get those positions and stuff down, I'll probably talk about that more. But yeah, and so in general, my company though, like I mentioned earlier, my boss, he's very understanding about your own personal like sort of work style, which is something I value immensely. A lot of places, like I did an internship at one place, and I may have mentioned this before, where they had you actually like punch in and like write a report about like what you were doing for almost like every minute of the day. It'd be like from 10 o'clock till 11 o'clock. I was from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. I was working on this project. From 11 o'clock to 11:10, I took a break. From 11:10 to 12, I worked on this project, and it was very like specific like that. But at my work now, like there really isn't anything like that. It's pretty free. It goes by flex time, which means that there's a general time that they want you to be there because they're if they want to have meetings and stuff, they want to know that the people are going to be around. But you can come anytime before that, and you can leave anytime after that. So like I think like the general flex, the general core time that you're supposed to be there is between 11 and 6, I think. So what's that? 11 and 6, that's 7 hours. So you can you have the leeway where if you're doing like an 8-hour day, you can come an hour early, and you can come an hour early and leave exactly at like 6, or you can come later and then leave later. And I mean, usually we don't actually have 8-hour days, but like you can kind of like work it out that way. And even during that time, for the most part, you could look at the schedule, and if there's no meeting you're supposed to be a part of, and like you want to go out for a walk, or you want to go out to eat lunch or something, you don't have to like report to anyone. You just walk out and take your break. And especially for artists, I think that's extremely important, because like a lot of times maybe your brain's just not, you're just not quite there. You're kind of like maybe you're tired or something, and you're just having trouble getting the brush strokes to work or whatnot. And so like at those times, let's see here. So at those times, like it's good to be able to just like get up and be like, okay, I'm gonna take a walk. I'm gonna go around like the Shinjuku area and just kind of like get some fresh air. Maybe go buy like some coffee or something, and then come back and be refreshed and be able to draw. And I think that's really smart that my boss allows that, because that kind of helps you kind of work in the way that is most efficient for you. And instead of like a lot of other companies, they try to force everyone to be the same. My company, they're very good at allowing you to have that freedom to find out how you work best. Like even like while I'm drawing, like a lot of people, they listen to music while they're drawing. For me, I tend to actually listen to like podcasts, or even like TV dramas, and like especially like things in like Japanese a lot of times, because I want to kind of get that Japanese kind of thought patterns into my head in case we have a meeting that day or something I need to need to speak in Japanese with. And so where is it going with that? Yeah, so like when when that in other companies, probably they'd be very strict about like you not being able to listen. I mean, most places would probably let you listen to music, but they might be like, oh, you can't have like a video going on YouTube or something, or you can't do this or that. Well, at my company, they're pretty lenient about that. So if I feel like I can have a video going on YouTube while I'm drawing, then I'll have a video on YouTube, or I'll have like maybe I'll even have like a show on Hulu or something. And so that for me, that's sort of my sort of drawing style, that it helps me be energetic and keep going, because if I'm in complete silence, I'll generally get I'll generally get burnt out a lot faster than I would if I had something in the background. And so yeah, just in general at my company, we have that freedom, and I think that my boss is really good about that. So earlier I was mentioning about those like kind of challenges with like the work schedules, and I think that's very general. That's in general of what Japan's like, but there are exceptions. Like I think that the place that I work at right now is a bit of an exception. Even though there are people that are working there that still kind of have that sort of a work to live type, or live to work type mentality, where they come like all hours of the day. And even myself personally, like now that like there are times when you do have to work like that, but I think that's not really any different than I don't think that's really like the Japanese mindset so much. I think that's just the reality of being in the game industry, because as I mentioned earlier, there was the one half of it was that in Japan generally you have a more of a stress on working long hours and working hard, but also just in general in the game industry there's a lot of work to be done, and when you have a release coming up or something, a lot of times that means that you're going to have to spend more time than usual at work. You know, you're not always guaranteed to just have like an 8-hour work day. Weird. Okay, let's see if we can get some color in to maybe fix it up a little bit. I'm definitely not going to finish this in time, but yeah. So that's basically the gist of working in Japan. I'll try to go into more detail in the future. And I'm sorry I've been kind of all over the place today, but I honestly was not particularly prepared, just because this week's been really busy. Next week will also be pretty busy, but I'll try to have something to talk about. Otherwise, maybe I'll just like maybe just talk to you while doing a sketch or something, but we'll figure that out. And yeah, definitely let me know any topics or questions you might have. You put them in the comments. I would definitely like to get into different topics, or get more into like specific things that you're curious about. Yeah, I think that's basically all for today, I suppose. Kind of want to finish drawing this up though. So I mean, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that topic for today. But I'm going to just continue just working on this a little bit longer before I have to go to work. So I'm going to keep the live stream running a little bit longer. So if you want to stick around, go ahead and stick around. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Yoshiku. Okay, so let's just continue working on this a little bit more. I'm not quite sure why. Ah, I see. It's mixing with the color underneath. That's why I was wondering why the skin color was so dark there. See if we could do another one on top. Yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to this afterwards, because I feel like at the beginning of it, my brain was like so scrambled trying to draw and talk at the same time, that I'm not sure if I was particularly understandable, but I'll check it out. I'll check it out later. I wonder how I could get better at that. If worst comes to worst, I might have to just go back to pre-recording. But I don't know. We'll work on that. Yeah, I'll just stick to just the skin tone for now. Wrong brush. I think generally if I'm talking about what I'm doing, like if I'm drawing and talking about what I'm drawing, I think that will go easier. But when I'm talking about a completely different subject, it, it's probably going to be hard to focus. So maybe what I'll do is when I'm talking about a different subject than what I'm actually drawing, then I think I might just have it pre-recorded and then just talk over it. And when I'm actually trying to demonstrate something with a drawing, then I'll do it live. I'll do the drawing live. Yeah, it doesn't look as bad. It doesn't look too bad. I'm not sure if it would look right at first. Yeah, so generally I just do this in layers. The first layer was just like the initial sketch, and then this time I did a inked layer on top of it. For these ones, I skipped that step because I'm kind of starting to figure out the ways to like skip that. Generally, if you're doing it in a Japanese company, they want to have the line art, so you always have to do like this the inking phase. But for my own personal stuff, I'm trying to figure out ways to get around that and still make it look good. And so let's see here. So first off, I'm doing the bottom layer, which would be the skin, and so here's like a little, put some highlights. Well, try and get the nose to pop out a little bit. And this is going to be a really a speed sketch, so it's not going to look particularly great, but I already started, so I might as well finish it right. Okay. So next, let's go ahead and put the next layer, I guess, would be the eyes. So put some not completely white, but fairly white color down for that. And then maybe take a complete white to just kind of, that was more or less white, so you can't get much of a highlight on there, but okay. So now let's get like a color for her eye color. All right, and maybe a little darker color to mix in there. All right, and I guess we could do this, use the same layer for the hair. So let's, I don't know, what color hair should we make her have? I don't know. Let's just go with black because I'm kind of lazy today. Make it sort of like a purplish black, maybe. Actually might be faster. And then, nah. I was thinking to switch the layers a little bit, but we'll just keep it how it is. Yeah, generally I just try to get the outline of it first, then you can fill in the middle afterwards. Yeah, I really need to start drawing every day. I'm thinking to try to spend some time like at work after I finish my work there to kind of just spend like an hour or so drawing before I go home. But lately, it's just like with this release coming up, almost like been there almost like every day till like midnight, or at least like 11 p.m. or so, and it's like a lot of times like there's also since I don't have like my own key, usually like someone else is gonna they have to leave, and so I have to leave too. And then when you get home around like 12 or something, the other thing is I'm trying to exercise more because that was sort of like a New Year's thing, I guess, to try exercise more. So when I get home, I'll do like some push-ups and stuff. Um, and then you take a shower and you eat and stuff, and by the time that's done, it's like, oh well, if I don't go to sleep soon, you know. And then I also play video games sometimes. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I could say that I can't play a video game until I've drawn a little bit or something. Maybe that type of rule would be good. Even though lately I haven't even been playing games mostly. Okay, so now we got hair more or less. Yeah, I have to get going soon to get to work. Yes, I think usually I would spend more time like kind of putting like accents and stuff into her hair, but I gotta get to work soon, so it's just I'll just put it all the same color for now. That doesn't look so great. It has too many like breaks inside of it. Let's fix that. Okay. And I feel like there's not enough like shading in her skin tones. So let's go back to that. Yeah, generally I would put a lot more detail in this, but just trying to get it finished at this point. Yeah, not the best thing I've drawn lately, but it'll work. Let's go ahead and just put like a little highlight into their hair real quick just to see if it makes any difference. Let's see here. Okay, make another layer and then make it clip to the bottom layer. And this is something I've been doing lately that seems to work. I just kind of draw a line across it and then kind of fade that. Try to get that to fade a little bit. Don't think that's thick enough. Make it a little thicker. Yeah, about like that. And fade it off a little bit. And then what you do is you in at least in Clip Studio Pro, you can make your brushes into erasers. So you take the pen, you make it erase, then you go back over it. I like get the strands of hair going through there. Once I get like an actual like drawing method down, I might make videos on that in the future. And if people are interested in like learning how to use Clip Studio Pro or other like software, I could go into those too. But honestly, I'm really not that good with my illustration. Like, I still have to improve a lot. So that's why I don't really want. I tend not to go to make too many videos about how to draw and stuff because I'm still trying to learn myself. So even when I do make videos about it, I think it's very much from the kind of the what you call it, the position of saying that this is me trying to learn, and if you can learn from me trying to learn, then let's try to learn together. Because there are definitely much better people out there to learn from. But there's much better illustrators and things than me out there. But we're all in this together, just trying to improve as much as we can and try to like improve, art in general. So. So usually I'd put like shadows and stuff too, but I'm not sure if it's getting like quite the right effect, but let's see. But you can kind of see how like breaking it up like that kind of gets you the general highlight going. I feel like it's a little too, there's not enough gradation quite yet. Let's try to add like a little bit more gradation to it. I'm not sure what I can do at this point though. And then just an example, you could go back on top of that and like take certain strands of this, take this color and kind of make it strand across. That's a general idea, I guess. Not the best drawing, but I think that's more because of the original sketch not really working out right. Now, should we put some shading in there just for the heck of it? Let's see here. Maybe take like the opposite, so it's kind of like a purplish color now. So let's make like a yeah, let's do like a dark red. Needs to be darker, I think. There you go. The same type of thing. Like first, you could put just the general the general shading in there, then switch to a more linear brush to put like the strands of hair. I'm not gonna go do too much into it, but yeah, I really feel like her skin tone is still too flat. So let's try just one more time. I'll just take some of this darker color, mix it in with this. There we go. Try to get her head to pop out a little bit more. Okay, and this there. All right, good. So that there's on the bottom, so I don't have to worry about going outside. And then also just her head in general doesn't really have any three-dimensionality to it. So let's try to put some shadows in there. This may actually ruin it, but at this point it doesn't really matter. So yeah, and then I don't know. This really isn't working, but whatever. Yeah, that didn't work at all. I think instead what we'll do is we'll just try to get the shadows on the top from her hair. I'm still on her. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I really want to do more details, but I'm kind of in a rush to get going. So I guess that'll be all for today. I don't think I really like this face, so I don't know. We'll keep it there, and then next time when I open this document, if I don't like it, I'll just delete it. So there we go. Put that all together. Save that. Oops. I accidentally got rid of one of the layers. There we go. That worked. So okay, put this to this first. Okay, there we go. Now we can save it. And I got to get to work. So thanks for sticking around. It was kind of a haphazard today, but hopefully there was some productivity that you could have gotten from it. And yeah, see you next week.